And welcome everyone back to Small Business Expo 2022. My name is Shiraz Sadiq, your host for this exciting event that's bringing together leaders across industry, across Canada, to invest in your lives in a worthwhile way. And I just want to give everybody a quick rundown of what the rest of this afternoon is going to be all about. But before I do that, remember, this evening there's an amazing launch happening. We can't give you too many details, but it is launching tonight. But tomorrow morning, you are going to find out all about what is about to be launched this evening, and you'll get all of those details exclusively during this expo when you log on tomorrow morning. Right about now, we are going to jump on the Women Entrepreneurs and Mompreneurs panel. And after that, there are a couple of other exciting things happening as well that I wanted to bring to your attention. At 1:45, there'll be a panel discussion on creating an inclusive entrepreneurship ecosystem, followed by another workshop. This one is really interesting, right? This one of our friends who's done it a friend of the magazine who has done it a number of times, and that's procurement assistance with working with the government and how to sell your services for the Ontario region specifically. And then finally at 3 o'clock, there will be another panel on digital transformation. But without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Tracy Bell, co-founder and CEO of Millennia Tea. Welcome, Tracy. And then, of course, we have Rola. And Rola is, let me just make sure I say her title correctly, the founder of Rola Badis Coaching, right? And I got to tell you, we were all speaking backstage, guys. I got to be honest with you. She's kind of like right on point. She was trying to coach me on how to make my hair better. Like, that's how involved she is with hair. Because when you have a perfect coif like hers, people like me, we need help all the time. Welcome, Rola. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Shiraz, one word, please. You are great the way you are. Don't think you really need to do one thing extra to be greater than you are. You are always great the way you are.
Folks, do you see why you need to connect with Rola after? She's just great for the ego. She's great for your self-esteem. And she's full of knowledge as well, which you will find out as this panel unfolds. Then we have Carmen Sandor with us. She, of course, is the founder and CEO of the company that she represents, which is, of course, Green Owl Vodka. That is a story that I got to tell you, we got a number of comments, Carmen. They want to know what Green Owl Vodka is all about. I wonder why. I don't know. But guys, when we say we've collected a great panel today, and the diversity that's represented on this panel from the industries that they're involved in, you are definitely going to be blessed and receive a lot from this conversation right here. And then, of course, we have Maria Luisa Boyce. She is the Vice President of Global Public Affairs for UPS. Welcome, Maria. Now, do I see a Colombia throw behind you?
Yes, she does. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm originally from Colombia, so I thought I will have that side of me reflected.
Awesome. Represent. It's always great when people can represent their heritage and culture. Welcome to the panel. And next we have Laura Williams. She's the founder of principal of Williams HR Law. Guys, I don't know if she'll remember, but I've had the opportunity to connect with Laura on a previous panel about a year ago. I guess I'm not that memorable. And she's looking at me and she's like, I don't really remember that. But I remember you. And this is why I remembered her. Folks, when they get into their conversation, the depth of knowledge and competence, I assure you, will breed confidence in your next steps. And finally, folks, Adrian Vaquetta. She is our moderator for today's panel. She's the founder and CEO of Star Quality Private Investigations. Now, I'm going to get out of your way and let you ladies do what you do best, and that's empower small businesses across the country. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for the great introduction. Hi, ladies. I feel so incredibly honored and blessed to be a part of this amazing panel with you all. I will give you a very short story about myself, and then I can't wait to hear your stories and share them and empower, educate, and uplift other women and anybody else who is listening to this. So my name is Adrian Vaquetta. I am the founder of Star Quality Private Investigations. I did not grow up wanting to be a private investigator whatsoever. I wanted actually to be a criminal lawyer, very different. But I, at the age of 17, marched down to my guidance office and said, you know, when everybody was applying, I'd like to be a lawyer. And he basically LOL'd me in my face and said, well, you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, you don't have the grades or the money, you know, go have a few kids, get married, you'll be fine. And I was just like, taken aback, but you know, there was some trials and tribulations to, you know, kind of come back from that blow. But I found that throughout my entire career, no matter what I was doing, I always told myself, yes, I can. And obviously, you know, the women that I have the pleasure of speaking with today, you have all said the same thing as well. Now, you know, everybody's got, you know, secret things that they use to motivate themselves when you're going through, you know, the obstacles that you go through. Because as, you know, women, we have different obstacles. As individuals, we all have obstacles. And I really, my passion, you know, for doing anything that I do is just loving what I do. I always am very open to opportunity. That's what I'm saying. When I fell into being the first female private investigation agency owner in Canada and the longest owned agency, I never imagined that it would be that. And as I continued down my career path, people always wanted to hear my story. And I was sort of taken aback because I just did what I did and loved what I did. And I realized very quickly that people were trying to draw inspiration from my experience. And well, how did you get there? And, you know, when I tell people my very long story, which I'm not going to bore you all with today, they're always, they come out, I feel, inspired and uplifted, that they feel that they can, you know, pursue their dreams, whatever that may be. So at this point in time, I just wanted to also say I am very honored to get to know all of you. I'm going to go around and just ask everybody to introduce themselves again. And if you could give us a couple of sentences about you and let the audience know who you are. And I will begin with Tracy.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Tracy Bell. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Millennia Tea, and we are reimagining the global category of green tea. And so if you work and live in the better for you food and beverage industry and consumer brands, that's my world. And we're a company born out of a health scare and work directly with farmers in the mountains in central Sri Lanka and care deeply about helping millions and millions of people live longer, stronger, more satisfying lives. So I'm so pleased to get to be here with you today and looking forward to the conversation.
That's amazing, Tracy. Thank you so much. Rula, welcome.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm so glad to be around all of you great women. My name is Rula Badis. I actually founded my company, Rula Badis Coaching, around 2 years ago, and I founded it from a center of a tornado, to be honest. So it's founded for 2 years ago, and I included my life passion and my life research about the human being ability to change realities, to change the life they are living. And by counting only on their own powers and by concentrating on the power of the thought in empowering themselves and going beyond other people's expectation and their own expectation about themselves.
That's great.
So I'm living that passion every day. I'm so happy. I feel blessed. I'm here today. I'm a mother of 2 handsome sons, and I have a background of 15 years in business as well, so that I'm also so grateful to have. And I'm looking forward to this beautiful conversation today. I hope we can inspire as much as we can.
It sounds like you're already inspiring us. Thank you so much. Carmen, welcome.
Hi, Hi, everyone. My name is Carmen Sandor. I'm the founder of a company called Green Owl Vodka. It is the only green tea flavored vodka in Canada. It's a Neil CBO, and we're expanding to BC, Alberta, and the United States next year. Really pleased to be here. It's one of the only female-owned spirits in Canada, which is exciting. And I'm happy to join this conversation with other female entrepreneurs.
Excellent. Thank you. Literally celebrate. Maria, welcome.
Thank you so much, Adrian. It's a pleasure to be here. Short description, I'm a trade customs nerd. I work with UPS logistics, and I am excited to be here to share how I am blessed in my job where we are empowering women entrepreneurs around the world to enter international trade. So excited and looking forward to the conversation.
You definitely are inspiring them. Thank you so much. And welcome. How are you? Laura.
Hi, everyone. So honored to be here and in the company of these very inspiring rock star women. I've been practicing law for almost 3 decades, so in case you're fooled, I'm not a natural redhead. But I've had my businesses for approximately 12 years. So I'm founder and managing partner of Williams HR Law and also CEO of Williams HR Consulting. And I would say that I absolutely love what I do. There's a really kind of a core story as to kind of why I know I'm very aligned with the path that I'm on right now, and particularly in a time such as this when a lot of organizations and leaders need guidance. And so it's really been a time where I've felt incredible meaning out of the work that our firms do.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And I think you've led it into, our first question beautifully, because by the sounds of it, everybody on this panel absolutely loves what they're doing and is passionate, whether it's helping others. For example, myself, I help people in their most traumatic time in their life, whether it's a family law matter and their families are at risk of falling apart. There's missing children, obviously infidelity, corporate. Then you go to corporate, there's fraud, there's always, turmoil. And my passion really is helping others. And I do that through the conduit of also, I'm a results life coach through Tony Robbins, as well as through the private investigation in the private sector. But each one of you has basically said in, these very short few minutes that you are passionate and you love what you do. And it also sounds like you're doing it for others as well, not just for self-gain. So Tracy, I want to ask you a really important question. How have you persevered through challenging times, whether it was when you started, whether it was when you hit an obstacle? Do you have something that is your go-to to get through obstacles?
So for me, my sort of founding principle is I believe that this story we tell ourselves all day, every day is the most important conversation we will have. And so I work really hard on like the inner game because we've got an international cold chain. I'm asking farmers to do the opposite of what they do for every conventional tea in the world. And so the challenges, and then I say, consumer, imagine something you've never considered before. Take tea and imagine it as a plant and then go find it in the freezer. So perseverance, resilience, courage is like the name of the game. So to answer your question, something that's worked really well for me is talking to people who are not just running a little bit ahead of us, but like giants in business.
So networking and surrounding yourself with either like-minded people or people that are maybe, persevering similar to what you're doing, not necessarily in the same industry, but persevering and you kind of like their style.
Yeah, and business is business, regardless of your vertical, regardless of your industry. And
Correct.
The piece I realized is they always say, as you get bigger, your problems get bigger. And like Correct. Just the nuggets of wisdom that perseverance and that whole piece around, like, it is darkest before the light. And when there's a down, there is an equal and greater up. And so just reminding yourself that solving problems is the name of the game, and anyone who's in business and has been in business for a long time will tell you that that's the whole game. And so just have faith that things get easier and then they get hard, and that is the process of growth in business and in life.
Of course. And I really love the fact that you said, the self-talk, because, as a coach and doing what I do and working with thousands of individuals a year, I realize that it is, the story you tell yourself and the relationship you have with yourself. And if I listen to, what, hundreds of people have told me that, you can't do this, and here are the reasons why, I told myself, yes, you can. And yes, I can. And I just want to ask Rula very quickly before we go on to our next question. This is what, essentially you and I do for a living. So can you give, one or two quick tips about how, when somebody's stuck and they come to you, whether it's in business, whether it's personal, because usually your personal gets in the way of your business.
Yeah.
What advice do you have in, one or two sentences? What's your best advice for somebody?
Well, I like what Tracy said about, and that relates to something I always say, don't wish it's easier, wish you are better. And for that reason, you will do everything in your power to get better in order to face struggles or to face complications in life. And when the business is meaningful, when the business doesn't mean anything to you, it's just a financial income or financial reward, you would drop the ball straightforward. But when your business is meaningful, it's based on your story. This is where you persevere, you maintain your strength, and you face everything that is facing you. So focus on the meaning behind the business, which is something much more than the business itself. It's
yes, and
search for the meaning.
Right. And sorry to interject. I feel like that's part of something, as maybe a teenager, a few gifted people maybe learn, but I think that those are lessons you learn along the way. That's just my feeling. You're free to disagree with me for sure. But, lessons learned, everybody's talking about breaking glass ceilings, which I love because I always say it came from our ancestors. Well before even the phrase was even, a phrase of breaking glass ceilings. And you look at how far we've come. And we sit here today on a panel of, 6 women, which back in the day would never have been. And so I feel so honored and blessed no matter what we do, that we are able to, if we're able to inspire one person or, hundreds and thousands of people, which is why I've decided to start my podcast behind me, I Am Unbreakable, because it's, hearing your stories that are going to empower somebody that's either stuck or can't get through an obstacle and feel like that they cannot get to whatever their dream may be. So in saying that, I would love, Carmen, I'd love you to maybe just give us a few of your success strategies. So just a few tips that, if I was struggling and I was looking and watching this panel, what is your secret?
Well, in terms of success strategies, I mean, it's exactly what Tracy's saying. Every single day is so different. There's no real path. I think when someone starts a business, I wish, and I think every entrepreneur wishes, that there was like a roadmap. You start here, you follow this step, and then by the end, we all become wildly successful, and it's all great. So what I've learned through this process is just to be really flexible, learn from other people. Networking, as we discussed, is a massive key to success. And just always do more than less. I mean, in terms of even something like, pardon me?
And is that, Carmen, is that your secret go-to? And, while, what you're saying, the networking and whatnot, it is amazing. But what have you done personally to kind of get to where you are? Because when people look at what you've done, it's absolutely amazing. And, is it that, the inner self-talk, like, is there one or two strategies that you would be willing to share? Or is it, like you said,
definitely. I mean, I think for me, when I first started, it's just, I had a million people tell me that this was a really challenging market. It's very competitive. You're competing against brands that are spending millions of dollars on marketing, have hundreds and thousands of employees. So I would just say for any person that's looking at their business and their future growth is to really block out noise that's around them. Ultimately, every person is unique. And if you really find a gap in the market and your product fits or your service fits that gap, there's really no use in looking at all the challenges and feeling like you can't overcome them. You have to really believe in your product or your service, and you have to make sure that's first and foremost the most important thing. Because, I'm just going to say that, I've made so many mistakes along the way, and ultimately what's helped the most is that I had such a relentless focus on creating the best possible product. And that bought me more time to continue to learn and grow my business.
That's amazing. I think, you said so many amazing things, but the one thing that really stood out to me is you didn't allow the outside influences to block you or stop you from what you wanted to do, because you believed in your core what you were going to do. You maybe had no, like you said, roadmap, or, I refer to it as a playbook for personal or professional, situations, but you just believed in your core and you didn't listen. You kind of blocked out the outside influences, and you told yourself, yes, I can. And you went forward and you did it. Not easily.
I think every entrepreneur has a little bit of, they're a little bit naive in some sense. I mean, I think you have to have that little part of you that's slightly naive and believe that you can do something that, other people can't. That's why, it's such a challenging road to be an entrepreneur. If you don't have that little bit of, naive belief in yourself or your product, you won't even get started, because as we all know, in every industry, there's been people before us that have done it. There are unique products out there, but it's all about, making them better and growing. So I think being a little bit naive about your business and you and what you can do is important. Otherwise, you're never going to get started.
Exactly. And, when I reflect on my story and I look at obstacles, I would say one of my biggest challenges was being a female in essentially a male-dominated role. And I was not welcomed. I had very little mentorship. Actually, sorry, let me rephrase that. I had one mentor, God bless him. And everybody else, not only from a social media standpoint, there was vandalism to property. There was a lot of people that did not want me in this industry. And, so that kind of goes to the other spectrum. But I just kind of, with blinders on and an awesome team behind me, I persevered, and I'm really, really thankful and that I did. And with saying that, Laura, when you reflect on a journey and important memories or realizations of how you got to where you got to, can you share one or two of those stories with us? Or, your aha moment where it's like, okay, that changed me, that changed my business. This is what changed it for me. Can you share that with us?
Certainly, there are so many junctures along the way. And one of the things that I'll say off the top is, we really can't be destination focused in life in general, right? I even have moved away from saying journey. I look at this as an odyssey, right? And so as you're going through, there are a couple of things that are certain. You are going to feel fear. And the other side of success, or the other side of getting to whatever it is you're working towards, similar to what Tracy said before, I've heard it as the darkest time of the night is before the dawn. Oftentimes the fear is because you are about to experience a breakthrough. So you have to persevere. And I could regale you with countless stories of my birthday was just on Friday. I won't give my age, but I've got a few
birthday.
Belated birthday. in terms of experience in that regard. But the other thing I'll share that I think is really important, and it's not so much a moment in terms of a story, but I think I want to lend to the strategies because it's really important. And it's creating what I've termed, and it is a term that's even applied in the business context, is you have to have a battle rhythm. And your battle rhythm are those habits that you invariably you will not veer from when you are from day in and day out, so that you can stay on path. Because you have to, as Carmen rightly said, you've got to dim the noise. So I can give you a couple of really, really quick strategies that I've used, and I'll tell you. And again, this is integrating everything that's been said so far with all the brilliance that we have on the panel. The first thing is, you are attacked from the moment your eyes open up, right? And it's your own self. It's like your own self taking down yourself. And if you don't catch it, you're going to ground and pound yourself, so to speak, in the takedown process. So I am vigilant of the very first thoughts that come in my mind in the morning. And that's number one. And just affirm them with gratitude and making sure that I reflect and focus on the vision that I have. And again, the vision not being destination focused, but the vision that's related to the purpose that I know that I have in the work and path that I'm on. And that's to help people. And when you get the one thing that keeps you away from this saboteur mode that we get into is thinking beyond yourself, right? Some people term it as focusing on the why or what have you, but you have to think beyond yourself. Why? Why should you kick the duvet off and log on or go to a client or make a call? Because you have to focus on what you're purposed to do. So this battle rhythm, I've got about 3 key and core things that I invariably do that really just kind of keep me moving through my honesty.
That is awesome advice. And thank you so much. And I do see the commonality between all of us, that we do share a lot of the same philosophies, and a lot of the same strategies are all similar. And shocking, we're talking about it, inspiring others. So thank you. One of the biggest questions that I get asked is, how do you do it? I have 4 boys, all in hockey, rep hockey. So I'm traveling for business. I'm on the phone. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And as a woman, whether you have fur babies, whether you have real babies, adult children, whatever the case may be, doesn't matter if, you're single and you live by yourself. As a woman, we have certain things that we need to do and that we want to accomplish. And it is a struggle and a juggle at times, is basically kind of what I say. But, I would never change it for the world. And when people say, how do you do it? And I'm like, I just do it. There's only so many waking hours and, time management and whatever. But, I can give a million things of, scheduling advice. But my thing is, and without, promoting Nike, just do it. Right. So I guess at this point, Rula, I would like to ask you, whether it's the mom or the, female entrepreneur that is struggling, we also, some people have, aging parents that they're looking after. It really doesn't matter what your story is, but I would like to know either you personally, how you juggle. You mentioned you also have 2 boys, and how do you juggle day-to-day life without getting caught into, a trap of there's not enough time in the day, and doing it as well as you do it?
Well, actually, that's really, really important, because I've been into that trap for a long period of time until I discovered that I should do something about that. And I know that many other women entrepreneurs are sometimes falling into that trap of working. Like for me, it was the question of working in the business, on the business, and off the business. So when to do each one of them, and especially without suffering from the outcomes of not being around my loved ones, my kids, my spouse, the people who I care to be with, and don't feel like I'm not giving them enough attention that I want to do. So managing those emotions was a struggle for me as well. So for that reason, I started to balance myself by including them a little bit into what I'm doing. So the first thing that I said is partner with your partners. Like if they are not your business partners, make them your partners. And for that reason, now my kids know about my struggles, about everything I'm doing. So they are kind of my partners.
I love
They feel engaged with what you're doing. So they are supporting you with everything they have, especially emotionally. And that would make you more into and with them while you are doing your business, so you are not facing those fears. Something else I stopped doing is multitasking, especially between business and life. So well, multitasking, something I used to love to do. I feel like I'm more productive, but researchers show that multitasking will make you give too poor quality outcomes. So especially between business and life. So if you are with your kids, so I learned that if I'm with my kids, I don't read my emails or I don't do something related to business. And if I am doing business, so I'm doing business and I let everyone know that now they don't have my presence. So
that's wonderful. You're setting boundaries, essentially.
Kind of setting kind of boundaries, educating everyone. And whenever I am with my loved ones, or I'm doing something for myself, even if I'm doing something for my own well-being, I'm fully present for that something. If I'm talking to my kids, I'm fully present with them. And presence doesn't mean you should be present physically. Like present mean giving your full attention to that person, your spouse, so that's really important.
To interject, just because I'm getting the time wave here, we've got a couple of really quick questions. So I'd like to direct this quickly to Carmen, if you don't mind. And then we've got two other questions to go through. Can you share your experience or your know-how on how, developing a female lead enterprise has come to fruition for you? Was this something, were you, naturally a born leader? Was this something, kind of like myself, I fell into, helping former police officers, sergeants to open up this agency, and I fell in love with it. Did you, I always say opportunity is in front of you. And was this an opportunity you kind of fell over, or just tell us quickly what your thoughts are?
To be completely transparent, for me, it was never about hiring men or women. It was about hiring the best person. And, it just happened to be that I'm in an industry that is very male dominated, and I'm a woman. And it's just one of those things where a lot of the roles I've hired for, I found really great women. So it's never been, and I always, again, comes back to the product. I always tell people it's great that I'm a female entrepreneur. It's great that it's in the store and it's doing well, but ultimately the product is first, and who I am as an entrepreneur and all of that is so secondary. I just focus on making a really great product and building the best possible team, whether that's a woman or a man. So it just happens to be that we've given opportunities to women in traditionally a male-dominated industry, which has been great, but it's never been with the intent to only hire a certain type of person. And I think that would discredit all the amazing women I have hired if that was my intention. I try to hire the best people, and if they happen to be women, that's amazing. And
always all about, regardless of gender, you just look for the qualifications, the personality, the drive, and the heart,
and the fit on the team, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Maria, I am going to come to you for a couple of quick last questions. What is the power of building a network? What do you feel about building a support network? Do you have, a few quick, tips or success stories that you can share with us?
Definitely. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I love all the stories. So we launched our Women Exporter Program, UPS, in 2018. We have trained over 31,000 women entrepreneurs now from around the globe. And I can tell you that the number one thing that jumped at me when we were having the conversations with all these women entrepreneurs was that they did not make time to network because they're so busy. They're moms, they're entrepreneurs, they're doing every day, and it's not, especially in developing countries, it was very hard for them to make the time or understand why should I network. And so it is very important. It creates a sense of community, so you're not alone. Even if you feel alone at some moments, as I'm hearing from all my colleagues here. And so networking brings you a sense of community, and in a indirect way provides you tools that you maybe didn't know that you can use or leverage. And so networking is important. Make the time and do it. From a UPS perspective, what we're empowering women to export and enter international trade, networking helps them understand better the do's and don'ts when you're going to export, right? And you learn from others how to empower and leverage that part. So that's a fast answer for why networking.
I know. That's a whole nother show. I'm going to have you on I Am Unbreakable after, and we can chat about it. What I wanted to ask everybody, and just go around quickly, and I know it's going to be hard in one sentence or less. What do you feel are the barriers to female or women entrepreneurs? And is there something that we can do as individuals sitting on this panel to help break that barrier? Tracy?
I would say that my experience in corporate felt very girl v. girl, that we were all climbing a ladder for a top destination.
True.
I would say in business, community over competition is the name of the game. And so that whole network piece, like a mentor of mine the other day, and this is a guy who exited his business at 600 million. He came to me and he was like, Tracy, remember, people do business with people they like. So simplify it, guys. Like, let's just, when we're all running, and there are people who are running ahead of me who are helping me, and there are people who are running behind me that I now get to help. And so network to me means find some folks you like. And so to answer your question, I think community is the word. It's find some people you align with and continue to build each other up. If we are the product of the 5 people we surround ourselves with, like, be so discerning about who those are.
Love that. What are the barriers to women entrepreneurs? Quickly, please, Rula. What do you feel are like, say, one barrier, and how can we help other women? And what's a tip you could give them to break that barrier or go through the obstacle?
Okay, my rule in life is inside out, upside down. Inside out, so you are facing your barrier. Your barrier are not going to limit you. External barriers, like the barrier that would really stop a woman are the barriers within her that she should break. External barriers, they can be diluted. External barriers could be categorized under 3 main categories. Cultural and traditional sometimes, managerial and financial, sometimes emotional and mental. And all of these barriers could be worked around by having the right course of action. And
perfect.
The internal are related to the glass ceiling you mentioned. We spoke about before. It's a very long story, but it's inside out. So start with who you really are.
I love that. Thank you. Carmen, what are a few barriers that you feel as women we still face, and how can we overcome this obstacle?
I think from my experience and, having also worked in finance, which was very male dominated, what I learned is that often women have a harder time communicating what they want, and their way of networking can be very different than a man's. So one thing that always worked for me is I always had an agenda when I had a meeting with someone, and I got to the point and I built an honest, trusting relationship. And it often wasn't about having 20 conversations to get to the same point. So I found that a lot of women, whether in business or in the corporate world, had to have a lot more dialogue or had to have multiple meetings, and often weren't as pointed with what their objectives and what they really wanted was. So, and that could vary on a person. I'm just generalizing, obviously, but from my experience, it always made sense to, when networking, have really clear objectives and also understand that everyone has a different communication style, and realize that the people around you, if you really want to get the most out of them or you want to give them the most you have, like really try to figure out how people communicate. And that's, for women or men.
I love that. Thank you so much. Maria, I know you touched on some of the barriers that your female partners are facing, and you did come up with something great and a strategy. Can you share maybe another strategy that they may be able to use to overcome the barriers that we still face?
Yes, definitely. Trusting in your innovation instinct. All of those of you that are entrepreneurs, have faith. And I love what Rula was saying, because what I found in entrepreneurs here in Canada, women entrepreneurs in Canada or around the world, is sometimes they allow the negative voices be louder than the positive voices. Trust your entrepreneurship, and then go for it. That is what we are seeing as success. And I can tell you, do your homework, get the training, and then go for it. So those will be what we are seeing around the globe. And here in Canada, there's beautiful innovation, by the way. I love entrepreneurship here. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. Laura, can you share?
The burden of going last when you're in the company of brilliant women. So I am going to repackage, but it's common themes. First of all, it's our own self-worth. Listen, external barriers will exist, and for all groups and anyone that experiences disadvantage. But oftentimes as women, we really don't really seize and identify our power. And it's evident using kind of an HR related reference in the stat that, men apply for a job when they meet only 60% of the qualifications. Women will only apply if they meet 100% of the qualifications. These are things we know. So we have to kind of get. And the last thing I'll say really quickly is that we have to be really vigilant of giving too much of ourselves away. We do that. We compromise, we try to make things work for everybody else but ourselves. And I do a lot of strategic leadership coaching, and I was speaking with a senior leader yesterday, and that's what we were talking about. She had given too much of herself away, almost to the point of it being irretrievable. And so we've got to be vigilant of boundaries and also of prioritizing ourselves.
That's
so those are the key things I would say.
I love that, Laura. You really touched on it. And now I just have to ask, what advice did you give her? Because I do feel as women, that is what happens.
Really quickly, we're meeting again next week, but we're going to order and identify what she has given away, where she has compromised. Because I'll tell you, when I asked her the question, she said it's been so much that she couldn't even rhyme them off. And now, let's come up with a strategy to reclaim.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I really want to thank Canadian SME for having us. Very honored to be a part of this panel. And we see our host here. Hello.
Hello, and I'm not getting rid of you yet. There's a bunch of thoughts that I have for you, if that's okay, everyone. If that's okay. The first one is, I have two daughters, a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I told both of them, you better be listening to this panel. And sure enough, they've been sending me notes about some of the comments that you guys have made, and they just want to express their thanks to both of you. And they're like, hey,
that is great.
How do we meet Tracy afterwards? It's like, just reach out. I'm not making that connection. You see her name. It's called LinkedIn. Make it happen. And so I'm really excited about them just reaching out and making those connections. A concept that my wife and I, my wife, certainly a strong personality, a female figure, I should say. My mom, strong female figure. And so my daughters have benefited from that role modeling. What we've always said to them is this. We stole it from Barack Obama, when he said that something along, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, barriers are the ones you believe. Write your own, right?
Powerful.
And what now, obviously we made it our own. He said something different, but what we took away from his speech was effectively, ladies, the barriers are the ones you believe. Create your own narrative and chase it down. And so all we can hope is that they do that. Their self-talk, they constantly reassure themselves that and surround themselves with giants that are going places and continue to keep their face forward instead of all the baggage that could try to attach themselves to you. What would you say about narratives that have held females back, whether they're true or not? And that's the unfortunate thing. I've never seen a male or female. I've worked with male, but I've always seen them as leaders or co-workers or direct reports. I never saw them as male or female.
Right. And if I can interject, one thing I feel that you're really missing, and I commend you for doing this. One of my biggest supporters was my dad. And he never looked at gender. You know, while other people were baking cookies, I was building fences. I mean, I'd eat the cookies after. But, you know, gender was never, he had 2 daughters as well. And what you're doing now is raising girls to be these incredible women. And you are empowering them as a man. So I feel that's the first thing. And definitely hats off to you. And I was only focused on that. So I'm going to let somebody else actually answer your question, but I had to commend you because it doesn't matter, you know, what setting you're in family wise. I think it's important to be told from your parent or parents that you can and be supported regardless of gender.
And just before somebody else jumps in here, that might be the point. Perhaps you, the audience, have not heard that from the environment you grew up in. But take a look right here. There are 7 strong figures right in front of you that believe that not only can you achieve, but they did it themselves. And so I can assure you, they probably believe that because they did it, you can too.
Absolutely.
How do people flick on that switch, ladies? How do they do that? Right? Like, it's one thing, it's cute to say, right? Okay, great. If you believe you can achieve, okay, great. It's cute. But in a practical next step, what's the very next thing that I can do to now get on that path?
Can I give a trick here? Oh, sorry, is that to Maria? I'm sorry to interfere.
No. Just very fast. I will say, Chiraz, as I'm listening to you, one of the things that I would recommend everybody is, if they have a fear or a barrier that they have told them they cannot do it, go and read about it and see if it is true. Because I remember a training we were doing in Mexico where we told all the women in the audience that they can open their own bank account. Believe it or not, there are 70 countries still that do not allow women to open bank accounts by themselves. And Mexico is not one of those countries. And a lady came afterwards and almost crying and told me, I didn't know I can export and open my own bank account. My bank locally told me I needed a male relative to open the bank account. And it goes to what Rula was saying about the cultural barriers. And so do your homework, believe in yourself, and do the research, because beyond the world that you are, you can see that maybe those barriers are not real, and you can find a way around it. So sharing that, Shira. Sorry, Rula.
No, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that, Maria, because myself, and I'm just giving you a background. I'm coming from a background where, like, in my family, I'm not a generalization, but in my family, it wasn't common for women to go out and work. So it was mainly the men job. So like going out and work. Now, all of us, we work right now, but the power of what you believe is coming from how you were raised. So in order to give you a very fast trick that every person can test if he has a belief or a negative limiting mindset, is writing one sentence and fill in the gap. The sentence is, I cannot do or have or own gap, something that you really need to do, because I am, write the limitation in the gap. And when write the first thing that comes to your mind, this is your mind is expressing the limiting mindset that you have, and look at this sentence, and you will catch that belief, and take that belief and investigate, like Maria said, investigate where this idea is coming from, why I'm holding this idea and allowing it to hold me back. Then take the same sentence and flip it to the positive sense, like I can have this because I am something empowering about you, and work based on that.
Has anyone clued in that Rolla is a coach? Does anybody clue into that she has the tactics and the strategies to build you forward? Ladies and everyone, thank you for investing in us. It's like Rolla, what you're saying is like, if your foundation is cracked, no matter what you build on it, it's going to get faulty. The last thought that I wanted to share with y'all, and again, thank you tremendously. Everyone talks about baggage. Right, we all have this past that we bring forward, whether it's our background, whether it's words or experiences that we've all gone through. And a mentor of mine, one of the things that they've taught me is, how do you convert your baggage into luggage, purposely packed for your trip ahead? And one of the ways you convert your baggage to luggage is take a look in your baggage. And a lot of people are afraid to look in their baggage to see what's holding them back. But once you do, you can take out the stuff that doesn't belong and then repack it on purpose to pull you forward. So thank you for exposing a number of thoughts that we all need to unpack and then repack, luggage in hand, ready for our journeys. Thank you, Tracy, Laura, Adrian, Rula, Carmen, and Maria. We appreciate you investing in us. Thank you all.